say happy Spooktober, everybody. Happy
Happy
Halloween.
spooky October.
Ooh.
I'm Larissa and that's Becca. And we look like 90s hotties today. Can you guess why?
No, I can't guess why. Why would we ever look like 90s hotties, Larissa?
Usually we're 2022 hotties, but today we're 90s hotties because we're traveling back in time to a spooky, mysterious Halloween town that I think exists on the Hellmouth, is what they call it.
Yeah. It's called Sunnyvale.
Sunnyvale. Where all your favorite friends live, including Xander and Willow and Tara and Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, yeah, Buffy the Vampire.
I went through the names I could remember first.
No, that's fair. What about Giles? You forgot about the sexy
I love
librarian.
Giles.
No, I always had a crush on Giles when I was a kid. I don't know if that's weird.
I definitely was a Spike girly, but I watched it a little bit older. Like, I didn't watch it, I feel like, when it came out.
I didn't want, Buffy to sleep with Giles or anything. I just thought Giles was cute. I thought he was...
He is a cutie. I always shipped him and Buffy's mom after the one episode where they bang.
Yeah, okay, I always thought him and Buffy's mom would hook up.
Because they just randomly did that, and I was like, wait, I want this to happen.
I don't even know if I remember them hooking up, but I do remember thinking they should because they were the two adults on the show.
Oh, true. No, I never thought about it that way.
As my introduction note says, let's talk about vampires, baby. That's literally a note I made.
What? I kind of forgot, that vampires were a part of the show. I feel like there's so much that goes on in this show that's not,
Buffy the Vampire Slayer, not about vampires.
It being, hot take. I feel like it being, a vampire show comes second place to it being a lot of other kinds of shows, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if this is true, but I thought I heard or, read somewhere in an interview about the show back when I was, more into it, or maybe I was just obsessed with one of the actors, I don't know. But there was a reason I was watching, doing deep dives into Buffy that wasn't just this. And it was, that, the vampires in the show were supposed to represent, I think it was, childhood or, adolescence or something like that, and Buffy was supposed to, kill them all, and that was, the end, and she had grown up or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but I thought it was funny, because then it just, never really happened.
It's I don't know. Yeah, I guess
shit, what do we do?
That way. But I feel like that happens for a lot of, horror kind of premise things. Anything with, a monster, I feel like is very traditionally, a metaphor for something. So
yeah, I think the vampires...
That makes sense.
Are soulless teens. They're a metaphor for soulless teens.
Yeah. Well, I think it has to do with, a lot of times to do with, sexuality and, growing into, asexuality and having, shameful desires. I don't know. I feel like it's usually like that, a coming-of-age kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I like Buffy. I was pretty impressed because I realized Buffy was, before the vampire craze hit.
Yeah.
I'm not, and I can't, it was Buffy, I guess, it's never accredited as, the reason for the vampire craze, but I feel like it really kicked things off. Because before Buffy, there wasn't as much, and then afterwards came, Twilight, Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
All those shows.
I think, vampires and, other monsters have always kind of been used as, especially vampires. I think in, the original Dracula and stuff, it is very, sexual and has to do with kind of, Rocky Horror Picture Show vibes, where they get, kidnapped and, eaten. But, is it, they're kind of tempted to do so, and it's very tied to that. But I think Buffy probably brought that into, I think they were maybe the first to, marry that with the teen drama, which then just, I think, took off, the teenage angst mixed with the...
Well, yeah, because, obviously, I think vampires and, the supernatural in general will always be, kind of hot and fun. But I know, there was, there was such a big craze for it. Everyone was obsessed.
Yeah.
Everyone just wanted to be or bang a vampire. Maybe both.
Ideally both. or have their half-eaten baby.
That I enjoyed that it wasn't all about just like her wanting to sleep with an old guy. It was like
Yeah.
her being a um, Slayer. Also very like pro female, which I never really thought about. That like
Yeah.
she's a badass woman Slayer. Not men
She's
are
a
all pussies in the show basically.
she's a really Buffy's a really progressive show, and like a lot, like even like they had so many, not so many, but like they had pretty good the queer representation too back when that was
They no,
not a
they did like
thing.
considering this is a '90s show. I was honestly really impressed when I was rewatching it. Was like, oh, like it's very like pro women empowerment. Very like Willow is like a badass gay like witch character who I think is like a really good. Well, I don't like Willow personally, but like she is like good character to like look
Yeah,
up to. I think when
like
you're young and don't see a lot of characters like that in the '90s, early 2000s kind of time.
yeah, I don't like I Willow's never been like my favorite character, but I think like she has a lot of depth, and I think you can't
Oh.
go down. Okay, well I'm gonna finish my sentence, but
Okay.
I think she has a lot of depth, and she the her arc of coming out I think is very well done. It's not really I think it's better than most like coming out arcs that we see today, and like the very pandering kind of like token representation styles they
Yeah.
presented it. And Buffy, it did feel very like organic and kind of like necessary to the character, and it wasn't like slay queen pussy pop. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like
Yeah, yeah. No, I
um
think Buffy is very like
yeah, it was very
um
intimate. I also got more wine
uh,
while I was up.
I wish I had red wine because then it would be like I'm drinking blood.
That's what I was thinking. I had it on hand too.
Yeah. Oh, lucky. I have Coke, which is like brownish
Yeah,
red.
like a Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, but no, I think you're right in the sense that I think Buffy did what a lot of shows today like miss the mark on, which is like they I think push a lot of positive messages that don't necessarily feel in your face and like forced or like not
yeah.
right. Like it felt like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be. And I can't really speak to Willow's coming out because I'm pretty sure that was a season fully that I missed.
That's fair.
Like I don't know if I saw season. I didn't see any of the time that she had with her middle boyfriend, who wasn't Angel or Spike.
Wait, Buffy's middle boyfriend?
Yeah, didn't she have one in
He's
the
like
middle? I
really
heard about
irrelevant
him.
though. Yeah, like I figure there's probably some stands out there that love him. And
Yeah, they're not gonna be happy
like
with this.
he was like a key ex-boyfriend, but he wasn't a vampire, so you kind of forget about him.
Irrelevant. No,
To
I
me.
just I think I like had skipped a bunch and then found out later like oh she had another boyfriend and I like heard about him through like random stuff like watching
That
him.
was, I
So
think, one of their like. I think okay. The thing with that boyfriend is, I think we can talk about this later as well. But he's he was really good at the time because I think he was around when Spike started to kind of have a thing for Buffy, and I think Wesley worked really good as like a foil to that, and like you would kind of like you knew that like the Spike thing, like the other shoe was gonna drop for Spike having a crush on her, however way that unfolded, and you're kind of just waiting for that to happen. So you're kind of just watching the relationship, like waiting for it to like either break up or for like Spike to make a move. So there's a lot of I think tension with that boyfriend.
can I
Um,
ask you a question? Did you say Wesley?
I think his name's Wesley, isn't it?
Wait, no. Wesley can't have dated Buffy because Wesley's an angel, and I love Wesley. If I had known it was him, I would have rooted for him
Wait,
immediately.
Wesley. Wesley is
I thought
he works for
I
like the
thought her
government, or maybe it's Wes.
her middle boyfriend was Riley.
Oh, is it Riley? Maybe I'm confusing Wesley with Riley. I was so
Because
convinced it was
Wesley is
Wes.
like he works for the same people I thought Giles worked for, and then he was disgracefully let go
Oh,
or something like that.
I'm totally talking
Can't
about a
remember
different
exactly his
guy.
plotline either. I think he made out with Cordelia once.
Well, he's even more irrelevant. No, there's like the one big one. Oh, you're right. It's
Um,
totally Riley. It's totally Riley. Riley Finn. He is a cutie. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him. He's good looking.
he's very
Ooh,
cute.
looks a lot like Angel. She
She has
has
a
a
type.
type.
It's not a bad type. It's a
Yeah.
type. Sorry, Riley is who I'm talking about.
Okay.
And
I just
yeah,
needed to
they
know
kind of just
because
like
I
a
needed to
healthy
know
thing.
how upset
Yeah.
I would be at your phrases towards Wesley, who
Sorry.
I also had a huge crush on.
I don't even remember who Wesley is. I thought this guy was Wesley.
I thought that it had 1,000,000 seasons. It only actually has 7. But
Yeah.
when I went back, because I initially was like, oh yeah, I think I watched like 6 seasons and then I gave up. And I was like, no, you watched 3 and then you stopped for a while and then you went to season 5. Like,
I skipped it. There were some really slow middle seasons, I think.
yeah, like when I got back into the show, Dawn existed. Willow was a gay witch manipulating her girlfriend, and um, Buffy and Spike were kind of a thing, but not really. And she had died. So that's like,
good season.
I went from them being in high
That's a good
school and
season.
Cordelia still being in the show to like the musical episode. And I was like,
It kind of,
oh, okay.
it kind of does like the Vampire Diaries thing where like there's a bigger bad every season. It's actually
Yeah.
very comparable to the Vampire Diaries. I was like thinking of it.
I was thinking when I like watched the finale that like it reminded me a lot of the way like the Vampire Diaries structured their like final season too. I just mean like in the sense of like there was like this giant. I think in the Vampire Diaries final season they had to like close the gate to hell or something like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and
it's like a similar thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but like also like it's all centered around this one town, and they like. I think in Buffy it seems like they do a better job at explaining why it's centered around their one town in the Vampire Diaries.
I mean, the writing in Buffy, I think, is just all around like pretty stellar.
Yeah.
Vampire Diaries stuff.
What I think
at times, if I do say
I think Buffy, I would say, is more of like a like it is a teen drama at the end of the day, but it's also more of like a action like thriller sort of show as well. Like it has things that I think more than just like teenage girls are into.
They do a lot more with it. They really like explore the characters a lot and like delve into like interesting stories. And they do that thing that I like when they do in TV shows is sometimes they do episodes where they just focus on like one minor character or like a totally different story. And it's like
I love when shows do that when it's just like randomly this is an episode about like cheerleader number 3 who is not in this show at all, but she's gonna be the main character today. And I'm like, what?
That's a trope I really like. Yeah, and like when it links to the theme really well, or like it foreshadows something, I really like that. But it's also a little bit different too. I think, especially the early Buffy seasons. Like, okay, I think later Buffy is going to be a little bit more comparable to Vampire Diaries because they have a lot more like overarching plots. But like season 1 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer is like very 90s, very this is the monster of the week that we're dealing with, and you can kind of watch it out of order.
Yeah,
and then they kind of change and go into that.
Yeah, I mean, and I think all shows like have to do that. Like they, when it's like not gonna be a procedural show, you have to sort of have overarching plots that become more and more part of the show, like as it goes on. But I do think it definitely started off different.
It started from like a mystery kind of show to like a teen drama. Yeah, it kind of turned itself into a teen drama.
Yeah.
Similar to like I think Smallville at the time did a similar thing. Like they had like the meta-human of the week, and then and like Supernatural as well. The first season was very monster of the week. One thing I was gonna mention as well is like, for Buffy. The thing that I think is interesting is nowadays, ever since like the Avengers, which they brought on Joss Whedon to do, they started. The writing just got like. He's kind of been like really chirped for his writing style, and you can see it in Marvel films, and they call it like the kind of like the Joss Whedon school of dialogue, and it's like the like Tony Stark like quip, and you see that like in the new ones especially, it's always just quip back and forth and nothing serious, and he kind of gets that basis for that. But I remember like at the time like that was like a really kind of new and like unique style of storytelling. And if you watch like Firefly, it's really similar to those like Marvels, like the heroes like quipping at each other. And it's not just the quipping, it's more than the quipping. It's like balancing this kind of like humor and like character stuff with serious plot and like theme writing.
I will say I think like I do like a balance of like humor and like the quips, the
Mm-hmm.
fast like responses. I think that's great. I think I will say like what I noticed when I was watching even like the last episode of Buffy today. I was like, there's a little bit too much humor for like the weight of the situation. Like I
Okay,
think
yeah.
sometimes I would watch
That
and be
happened,
like,
yeah.
I don't want it to be melodramatic, like, but people are dying. Maybe like have some weight to this, like more than
Yeah.
just
It's
quip, quip,
weird
quip.
where like the show kind of chose to put weight at times.
Because
Um,
it feels
so that
like
was interesting.
the only really like not funny scenes, although even in the episode I watched, it was funny, but like the only really like serious scenes seem to be like Buffy and her boyfriends, and I'm always like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah. This is
Why is your
so
teen romance the like serious part of the show when like someone just died like 10 minutes ago?
No, I agree. I think it could have been fine if like I just think it's interesting how like poorly that style of writing aged. Like I think
Yeah.
it lends
All right.
itself very well to like that kind of material where it's like crazy like that kind of what's the genre? It's like not like necessarily fantasy, but it's fantasy specifically when it's like in the real world and there's like a hidden world of fantasy in it. And I think it lends itself well to that. Like I think it works in the adventures, but I yeah, when it comes to times when it's like there's
I think
a genocide of people and someone's making a clip, it's like no, no,
I think like the problem
cut
is
that out.
you almost need like a Joss Whedon type, and then like I don't know who it would be, but someone who like maybe even like a Julie Plec type who does like the Vampire Diaries, where she does like really overly dramatic scenes, and like put them together, and they would have I think a good balance of like really dramatic,
Yeah,
really like crazy stuff with like quips and like fun remarks, and then
yeah.
like you'd have gold.
When I was like younger and watching it, I really liked it. Like I kind of liked that everything was subverted with a joke. Um, I think yeah, it's aged very poorly. And I remember just like this one quote because I was like when I was like a young kid, I was like really into Joss Whedon stuff, so I like looked him up a fair bit. And like one of his quotes was like, "Oh, like make them cry and make them like really sad, but then after that scene's over, like just make sure you tell a joke kind of thing." So I think that's like really his philosophy is to like undercut everything with a joke. But here's the thing: is that I think that's fine. I think you can, especially if it's like a comedy like that or like a teen drama. Like I think you can have jokes, but I don't think the jokes can come from the characters unless that's very intentional because it makes characters look so dickish and so like inconsiderate. It's like
I think what I enjoy sometimes is like when something really dramatic happens and then there's like a cutaway scene to just something like
yes, yes, I
random and
love
like oh,
that.
okay, I think that's really funny because you're like crying and then you cut away and they don't know what's happened and they're just like
Yeah, like it doesn't take away
doing
from
something
the
crazy.
weight of yeah, like the characters in
It
the
just like it
scene can't
balances it out
yeah.
in a way that like doesn't make you feel like the other characters are inconsiderate.
Yeah, exactly. Or like even just like situational comedy. Like sometimes
Mm-hmm.
something like falls in the back or like some new like someone off the street walks in. Like stuff like that I think works really well. So like you
Yeah,
can still have comedy with those really serious situations, but when it comes from like quips from like main characters that are supposed to be like the good guys, it just sheds really poor light on them.
I think sometimes I watch it and I'm like, I just feel like I need more of the like if you're gonna put me in really serious situations, I need you to be a little bit serious about it too.
Yeah, no, I get that. He's a very, I think, one note, right? Like he has kind of his one shtick, and he does it kind of well, but that's like all he can do.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
mean, hey, master your craft, man, and
yeah.
find people who can
No, I
do
think
the
it's right.
opposite. I think I think it's always like find people who can do the opposite of what you can do, and then work with them
Oh,
because
okay.
like
No, that's
you're
good.
gonna
I think.
do something good.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the um, tropes for a minute, and in particular the
Yeah.
hot 1,000-year-old vampire has to fight his true nature so he can date a
Yeah.
16-year-old girl who's different trope? Because what is it called? I don't know, but
It should have a name. We can find one.
I have a feeling like that should have a name because it pops up
Vamp
a
rape.
lot. Like we talked about Twilight and the Vampire Diaries, they're all like these 16-year-old girls who are dating guys who are
Yeah.
over 100,
Yeah.
and we're just like it's fine because they look similar aged. Like that's the same excuse
How
we use for why
old?
like yeah.
Like, how old is Angel in the show?
Like, I think it's thousands of years. Because
It
I'm
says
pretty sure he was like
26.
alive in like the like 18th or 19th century or something.
I think that Angel is recently a vampire. I don't know, maybe not. And I know
No,
Spike is
Angel's
really
not.
old though. Is Angel really old
No,
as
because
well?
Angel and Spike were like friends, like back in the olden days.
Oh fuck, you're totally right. I was hoping. I think
And
they
then
just meant
like
the
Angel
actor.
was, because I think Angel was so evil, right? Like he'd gotten to a point where he was so bad that they gave him a soul because
Hmm.
she was mad at him for killing like I don't know her kid or her boyfriend or something like that. And then he got his soul, and then like he spent I think like 1,000 years just like brooding because he was a bad boy.
Right. Angel is kind of very similar to Stefan.
Yeah, there. I literally was gonna say
They're
if
like the
that
same
trope had a
character.
poster boy, it would be Angel slash Stefan.
Is
But
is that's like such an archetype? Was Vampire Diaries a fan fiction of Buffy?
I don't
Because I would
know.
totally believe that.
I don't know. But I do. I will say this.
It's the
I
same.
like what became of Angel slash Stefan characters, where like once they stopped being like, okay, I guess it never happened in
Yeah.
Buffy. It happened a little bit. Like they stopped being like the main character's love interest. So
Yeah.
then you have to give them something else to do, and you just like get to know the character beyond being like brooding. And then they're usually just like funny in some way. Like Angel
Yeah.
is just like weirdly narcissistic, and like it's really funny to like
Yeah,
what.
once they add like a little bit of character to that, it's way better. Like there's something to like poke fun of too. Like I think, which is fun.
Yeah,
They're always coming
and
across
like
as like a little altruistic and like a little bit
same
Boy
with
Scout.
like
I think that's fun.
yeah, well like same thing happened with Stefan where like they decide to make him self aware of how like brooding and like annoying he is, and then like all of a sudden I like him more, and it's like just add that little
Yeah,
a little thing that makes the character that way. But
little
definitely I'll
yeah,
start off as like the brooding protector savior type. And also, I don't know, I had something to say about this trope specifically about the hot 1,000-year-old man, 16 year
yeah.
old girl trope. Oh, here. I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. And because I write everything down. But I said, I think this is both a very fun and very disturbing trope that is mainly driven, I feel like, by our society's obsession with sexualizing teenage girls and then justifying it by being like, no, she's mature for her age, like something fucked up
Yeah.
and ridiculous like that, where it's like, she's still 16. I don't care how much shit she's gone through. She's a child. And we want to sexualize her and hook her up with someone who is 1,000 years old,
Yeah.
but he's hot and he looks young.
Right? And the other problem too with it, I think like it would like I think I would care a little bit less or I would say a little bit less about it if the girl was like an adult. If it was like a 30-year-old woman, then I probably wouldn't care as much as being
Yeah.
like it's a 15, 16-year-old. That's
I feel
so
like
that's a child. That's a
I feel
child.
like even if you want to keep the melodrama of like a young person, like at least in college you're like sort of like 18 to
Yeah.
24 kind of age. Like
Yeah.
if you kind of put them in that spot where it's like you can still be really dramatic because like I haven't graduated college, I'm still really dramatic. I'm not gonna like pretend like
Mm-hmm.
I'm so much better than a teenager. Like if I was put in those situations, I'd also probably be like crazy and shit. But like you could definitely put it in that situation and make me not think they're a
Yeah.
child.
That's so. I totally forgot that Angel was also old because I knew Spike was old. But I forgot
Yeah.
that Angel was also old, and I thought it was maybe like they did something like they gave him when they give him his soul back, he kind of like reverts back to the age he was. But no,
No.
he still was
I
old.
just yeah, I just think it's a really bad sorry. I think it's a really bad
That's
excuse
really
to
bad.
like be okay with sexualizing young girls, and we need to like do that less.
Yeah, it's hard because it's like it's bad and you shouldn't do it. But that's like the entire premise that these kind of things are
Yeah.
built about. Like you can't really do the style of the vampire and the girl without it. Which maybe it should just go obsolete. I don't know.
Maybe
But I feel like
I
even in
mean
like
like
the Dracula ones and stuff, like it was never like
she,
you were never shipping the girl and the vampire. It was like they're
yeah, that's
evil
fair.
and like luring her, but she's maybe kind of into it. But like regardless, it's kind of like an evil thing. Like they're both.
I
It's
feel like
weird.
the vampire thing, like, it's sort of, I guess, like, the point is, like, to be, like, we all have sort of the tendencies to, like, be intrigued by, like, the, what is it, like, the macabre, or, like,
Yeah.
the
Like
sort of, like,
I
that, like, the
like
scary
Dark
sort
Betty
of, like,
vibes.
darker
Yeah.
side of life. But, like, I think if the vampire, if you want him to be, like, a good person, he's not going to sleep with the child. And then if you want it to be like, oh, like this is like you
Yeah.
fulfilling your darker tendencies, it's like then you have to make that character sort of dark and bad and stuff like that. But yeah, I just
So
think that was kind of fucked up. On the, but I do think it's like it's kind of I find it entertaining in the sense that like it is so ridiculous.
yeah, it's
It's
still fun.
crazy.
It's still fun as long as you know that it's like problematic. I think like for a lot of things, it's like you can be like, I know that this is bad and this is
Mm-hmm.
not something that should be done in real life, but I can put that aside and like enjoy this content.
Yeah.
Oh, I think also that trope, especially like in the ways like I've seen it on like let's say like in Twilight. Actually, honestly, Twilight was maybe the least like this. But in Vampire Diaries and Buffy, the actors playing like the high schoolers are also not acting like actual high schoolers, and they're not played by like actual high schoolers. Like they're acting like
Yeah.
they're 35, and like all the actors playing like the high schoolers and the
Well,
vampire are the same age, so it
it's like
makes it
the
seem less weird.
yeah, well, it's like the thing of like Arya and Ezra and like Pretty Little
Yeah,
Liars. Like, I think the actors were like 2 or 3 years apart in age, but like the characters were, I think, what 8 years apart, 6 years apart, something like that.
yeah, but that
And
didn't
it's like
show. You had to
it
just
doesn't
make a
show
note.
because like
Mm-hmm.
I think like yeah, Lucy Hale was like 2 years younger than Ian Harding, and it was like oh okay, so it just looks like a normal relationship,
Yeah.
but it's not obviously. So yeah, I do think they do that. Like the casting wise, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But and
Um,
then yeah, they don't act like teenagers. Well, actually, except I think in Buffy, they act surprisingly like teenagers.
um,
Sometimes, like
I think.
I'm
Sorry, I
always
mean
like,
like I think mainly Buffy, but I mean she's also like has her own shit going.
yeah.
Like she's not really like a high schooler. She's a vampire slayer, so it's a little different.
I just
But
think
like
like Buffy is one of
Xander,
those
yeah, I
shows where
agree. Willow, I agree. Also very good representations of a high schooler.
I don't know. I think Buffy definitely like she talks like a high schooler, and she is a high schooler technically, so it makes sense. Like I do think, and yeah, she's not the same, but I think I think in Buffy, I'm always just really surprised by how well they actually did make them seem like high schoolers to start with.
Yeah,
Like not like
yeah, that's
looking,
true.
like I don't think they look like they're
Maybe,
teenagers, but they act like a little bit like teeny.
maybe I'm thinking like in the later seasons, maybe like I feel like they aged them up a
Yeah.
little bit quicker than they should have. Like they kind of once they graduated, they kind of stopped acting like teenagers pretty quickly.
Okay.
In my
I believe you.
uh, but yeah, no, I agree. Actually, thinking back on it, like yeah, Xander was very teenagery, Willow was very teenager. I also feel like in teen dramas a lot. I hate this trope that I feel like has been so exhausted. Is like oh the main character girl or boy is like the nerd and no one quite gets them and they're like quirky and awkward and clumsy and they can't do anything right and their life's kind of but Buffy is like she's cool, she's really pretty, she's popular, she like gets like she can handle herself.
Mm-hmm. Well,
um
Buffy right off the bat, I'm pretty sure like she's liked by people, and then like
yeah.
she chooses to hang out with the more nerdy characters,
Mm-hmm.
and then she becomes less popular. But like she is like a very cool, put together, like hot girl.
Yeah, she's not like embarrassing herself every 2 seconds, she's not like
Mm-hmm.
fumbling over her words, she's not yeah.
I have a question. What are Slayer powers? I don't get it. Like they seem vaguely like
They're very
they can
vague.
fight better and they don't get hurt as much.
Yeah, it's basically that. Like, they're just really good. They're like a little bit superhuman. They're like a
It
little
feels
bit
like
invincible. They
minus
can
the
fight.
like yeah, minus the like not getting hurt as much. The other stuff you can just train to be
Yeah,
like
I think she does
fighting,
train.
being strong. Those are just things if you work out and
There's
learn how to
like
fight, you can do.
Yeah, but I think like there's like vampire. Like I think in this world, vampires have like super strength and like maybe super speed. I'm not sure. And
Okay.
Buffy, I think, also has that. I think she also like she just has basically vampire slayer vampire powers, except for like turning into a bat and like drinking blood. Like she
Okay.
can do that kind of
Yeah.
stuff too.
Okay. That makes sense.
Hmm.
Thank you. I just
But
needed to
it
know
is
because I
really
was.
vague, yeah. And sometimes it comes into play. Like there's like mystical shit that comes into play. It's like there's only one incarnation of Slayer at a time, and if they die, there's a new incarnation that's formed.
Yeah. That's
And it's
also
like
a dumb bullshit
it
rule.
is but whatever.
One Slayer at a time for the whole
I think
world.
they go into it. I think there might be something where they talk about
Yeah.
like either the history. It's like the Avatar. This one, but that's where
It's
Faith comes from
stupid.
because Buffy dies,
Yeah.
and then Faith is made,
Oh
and then
boy,
Buffy
do I
comes back to life
remember.
and there's two of them, and they never have sex. Sad news.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I think the other thing that this. Moving on. I'm done with this conversation now. This is my
So,
last. I don't know if this is really a trope, but I'll name it as such. Um. Why are we so obsessed with having young girls want to date former serial killers?
oh, didn't you watch
Like,
Zac Efron? Serial killers are hot.
yeah, I just
No,
feel
I
like
disagree.
it's an interesting thing
It's
that I
fucked,
just
yeah.
realized we've been doing since probably before the 90s, but since at least the 90s, where we're like, oh, reformed serial killer is the new reformed
Yeah, it's
vampire.
like the Ted Bundy thing. Like when he was a real
Yeah.
person, everyone was like, "No, he's just hot." It's weird.
And
I think like I think it is also so much like the 100-year-old vampire thing. It's like the genre kind of needs to have that.
yeah, well,
Like it's
like,
kind of lame if you just have an all good vampire. And I think like in the genre, like that kind of death is just not like you
I
have to like
don't,
kind of
yeah,
suspend your disbelief that it's as much of a tragedy as it would be.
like, it's just like, I guess, like, in Buffy, they explain it as, like, Angel didn't have a soul when he did all the killing,
Yeah.
so it's fine. But, like, I don't know, they do it in other shows. They do it in the Vampire Diaries where, like, they're just like, Damon's murdered like many people just because he like got emotional one day, and like they're like, no, I still love you, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, dude's a serial killer.
I
If
watched
he was a
like
human, that'd be a
yeah.
problem. And they're like recent killings. Like he's not like he was like, oh, well, 100 years ago I killed a bunch of people. It's like
He would like
that happened.
he would like have a fight with Elena and then go kill people and then like they would make up and she'd be like, "It's okay, you were just mad."
Yeah, and I just
um
feel like I
yeah,
don't know.
but yeah, definitely. I also feel like even if you're like a reformed vampire, you're still kind of a liability and you should probably just eat it.
Yeah.
What do you
Advice
just
to the viewers: don't
always
date or
canon?
befriend vampires.
Yeah,
You'll
former
probably
serial
die.
killers are not your friends. Oh, okay, wait, actually I have one more trip I want to talk
Okay.
about. I feel like this series was one of the first to really do this, and it's like, especially with like kind of like the bad boy aspect to it. It's the like villain redemption story, which I know is like, I guess it's kind of similar to what we just
Mm.
talked about, but like how they did
Yeah,
like,
it's I like a
yeah,
villain redemption. Like, even though I just criticized, why are we all wanting to date serial killers? I do like a villain redemption story. I think
I do too.
it's it's interesting.
Yeah,
I think also because for me, and I feel like I say it a lot, character development and character growth is like my favorite thing to see on TV shows. And like villain redemption stories are just like understanding a person better and then like showing how they are able to
yeah.
change.
I really liked. So I know they tried to do kind of like a redemption, and I loved how much time. I think redemption is such an interesting character arc because you don't see it that often. You don't see it often done well. I think it was so interesting to see like Spike actually try to make amends, and I think it was.
Mm.
I guess okay, we can talk about couples. So I was just gonna say,
Okay.
wait, maybe this is a hot take though.
I do think some of my opinions on couples might be mildly hot takes, but like we have to talk about them anyways. So.
Like who I think the good
Um,
boyfriends were and who I think the bad ones were.
I don't know. Let's find out.
Okay.
So the first couple I had written down was Buffy and Spike because they're.
I talk about them first. Okay, fine.
Well, I just like I talked about
That
we can
means you
talk about
care about
different
them the least if you talk about
the
them
least.
first. Yeah. Do you care about them the
Oh,
least?
if it makes you feel any better, I actually only wrote down two couples,
Okay,
and the
that's
other one
fine.
is not Buffy
Is
and
it Buffy
Angel.
and Angel? Okay, that's
Um,
fair. At least I'll accept you talking about thinking
can I
that
be
Buffy
on?
and Spike is like your least favorite, as long as you don't even acknowledge that Buffy and Angel are your
Can I be honest? I forgot that Buffy and Angel were a couple when I wrote this down, and then when I watched the finale today,
favorite.
remembered, oh yeah, that happened. So I have more feelings
Ah.
about them.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Let's talk about
But
Buffy and
okay,
Spike.
Buffy and Spike. Um, I don't. I know that like they're very. I feel like just in general, whatever you say about them is a hot take. Like if you say you like them, you're gonna get attacked, and if you say you hate them, you're gonna get attacked, and there's like no way to get around this.
Okay, yeah.
But I feel like they were hot. Like it was hot to watch
Yeah,
them
it was hot.
hook up. It was like that
We
like
can agree with
fun
it was
little
hot.
like it's like as hot as
It was
like
her
hate sex.
sexiest fling by far. It was like a
Like
fantasy. It was like
she and
erotica.
him had this fun like I hate you too. Oh my god, I'm really attracted to you. Let's hook up. And it's
Yeah.
like that's sexy. Like I'm not gonna pretend it's not. I think they had like a lot of problems and like as a relationship, I'm not sure if I really rooted for them. But I definitely think like they were
Yeah.
really hot. Like I enjoyed watching their relationship a lot. Um but I think yeah, and I think a big problem with me with their relationship was just I don't think Spike could fully recover from like what happened with him and Buffy, and I don't really want to
Yeah.
talk about it too much, but like I
I
feel like
don't
that like
either.
I don't remember exactly what they wrote to like fix that and make him come back from it, but I
Yeah.
don't think there's really a way to fully come back from that, and so I don't think like Buffy could ever truly like trust him or love him in the way that like I think he seemed to have feelings for her by the end.
Yeah.
So like I just think that kind of ruined the opportunity for it to be a
Okay.
relationship.
I think
But
even that aside, I don't think they should have ever ended up together. I don't think he could have recovered from being.
okay.
I think okay, that's what okay, so let's talk about like redemption arcs. That's what I really liked
Okay.
about it was kind of like all he could do was like try, but never
Mm.
really recover from it. Like he was never gonna end up with Buffy, but I thought it was
Yeah.
like really like powerful just to see him like trying to. And even in like that last scene in the finale when she's like, "I love you," and he goes, "No, you don't," but you don't say it. I thought that was so good because it was
I
very like,
wrote that down, that line down.
yeah.
I thought that
I
was
like
such like
cried.
a perfect ending to their relationship because it just showed
Yeah,
like
like she was
it's like
never
it
gonna.
summed up their relationship
Yeah,
perfectly. Like she just couldn't love him the way that
yeah,
he loved her. And I think he
yeah. I have
always
like chills.
understood that, but
Yeah,
like he would take what he could get, which is also it's so
yeah,
sad and bittersweet, which I think is a lot of Spike's character, is just like deeply heartbreaking and like difficult. I
yeah,
think Spike almost sort of realized that like he could never really recover from the things he'd done. So like all he could do was like yeah, what you said, like try. And then also I
yeah,
think a lot of what he did, he's like, this is I think Spike and I think Buffy hated this, but I think Spike kind of accepted a little bit more who he was. Like he was like, I'm not the best person.
yeah,
And like he accepted that and I think Buffy I thought she and Spike had a lot of similarities and I felt like sometimes I thought she resented or not, I don't know if I would say resented, but like sometimes when I watch them together, I was I think like you're mad at him because like for a lot of reasons he was a bad guy, but like I think like you're almost like mad at him because like he's honest about who he is, and I think you try to hide like the darker
okay, yeah,
aspects of your personality a lot of the time. At least in the middle seasons that I watched, it felt like that was a little bit like she was trying to hide sort of the bad things about her, and
yes.
I think Spike just kind of he he knew it, like he understood
Um,
it, and he was honest
yeah.
about it, you know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that doesn't make sense.
No, and that makes a lot of sense because, like, I think what I picked up on is very similar. Like, I kind of thought, like, her relationship, like, from Buffy's perspective, her relationship with Spike is very, like, she came back from the dead, but, like, which was kind of, like, whatever. But, like, I think, like, at that time, like, her arc was, like, she was going through a lot of, like, self-hatred and self, like,
Hmm.
depreciation, like, and self, like, depression. Like, it was that vibe of, like, oh, like,
Yeah.
I feel like shit and hate myself and depressed, so I'm gonna go hook up with my shitty ex, even though I shouldn't, kind of thing. Where it's like
Yeah.
it give her
And
like instant gratification, and I think she felt validated because like Spike is like she could kind of say like a worse person than her, but like she
and
when
then
she
I
was around Spike, she didn't have to feel bad about herself the way she felt. I think guilty and like shitty about herself when she was around her friends who were like good.
yeah.
Um,
But then I think it became a conflict because I do think Buffy had genuine like feelings for Spike in some way or another.
yeah,
And I feel like the conflict comes from like now she has to feel like worse because she cares about this person who like
yeah,
before was just like an escape for
yeah,
her. And I think like also Spike becomes like a better person than he was, so she can't just see him as the shitty guy who I hook up with to feel better about myself. Like
yeah.
I feel
I think
like
it was as like both of them became better, and like especially Buffy like became like was recovering and like healing. That relationship started to get more and more toxic, and it should like it
yeah.
worked when they both felt like shit and they were like equally matched. But then like
I think
yeah,
like I found them interesting together because I enjoy. I think
yeah,
I wanted. I think Spike was necessary because I think Buffy needed to accept certain things about herself and about him that she wouldn't let herself. And
yes,
I think
it was like
Buffy was
her
really
like
good for Spike.
yeah, it was her kind of like almost like a therapy like she could feel
Mm,
validated and like open and like comfortable enough to like talk about those things where with her
yeah,
friends she
but
never could, but like with Spike she could. I think I think you're right, like she had feelings like not in like a boyfriend like romantic way, but like I think he was a very important person to her life, and I think that
yeah,
she
I
also
think
felt sad that she wasn't in love with him
yeah, I
because I
think
think
by the
he meant a
end
lot to
when she
her.
realized like he wasn't the bad guy that like he had been made out to be. Like once he had, I feel like earned
Or
at
like she
least her
understood him.
forgiveness or like respect or
Mm-hmm.
like something along those lines. I think then she started to just feel guilty that she would never really love him the way that he loved her. Like she would care about him.
Oh
I think she
yeah,
cares about him the way like a friend cares about a friend, but and like there was attraction, but I don't think she could ever truly love him. And I think she did feel really like guilty about that. But it
yeah.
kind of like I don't know. I thought it
I
was
think she I don't know if she felt necessarily. Yeah, I guess that was like that moment in that arc was her kind of like feeling guilty about it.
like I'm
But
not saying
I
like
don't
it
think
ate
like
her up. Like I'm not saying it tore her apart or anything. I'm just saying like I
no,
think she did feel badly because she kind of recognized that he was a person with feelings that he
yeah.
understood and someone she cared about, and so she wanted him in his last moments while he's like saving her
Oh
and
my
her
god, I
family.
know.
Yeah, it's so sad
It's
that
so
he
like
like
ugh.
he
But I
want
feel
she
like that's
almost
like
like she wanted him to die like with a peace of mind that she did love him even though she wasn't in love with him.
yeah.
But
That was
yeah,
so
I don't
like
know. So their
beautiful, and it was
relationship
like
was.
complicated. It the thing like I could totally understand it. Like that's like I think a very adult theme and a very like adult,
Mm,
and I could totally understand that that would be really controversial when it's like a bunch of 12-year-olds watching the show, and it's like they don't get
yeah,
that. Um,
yeah. I would say my main things about their relationship were it was really hot, like
yeah,
to watch, but then also I think it was one of those relationships where those people who like you date or you like have a thing with. It's like you needed to have that relationship with
yeah,
that person in some way, but they weren't like the one for you. They weren't gonna be like
yeah,
the person you wanted to be with long term in any way. It's just like you had to have that relationship, and I feel like that's what Buffy and Spike
yeah.
were.
It was like a milestone. Yeah, they were like I think foils to each other. Like I think like basically what it was like Buffy at her worst worked with like Spike at his best, and
Mm-hmm.
beyond that. So that's why I always like want to say like oh like I'm team like Spike like that relationship. is by far way better than I think Angel and Buffy, but I don't think in terms of like that they're better matched and should like end up together. I think just like
Yeah, I
as a
think it's like
relationship,
that.
it's so much bigger and so much
That
better.
was a relationship that was way more interesting to watch too.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
cause
so interesting. And what a like different way to do the teen drama thing.
Spike was such a like. I liked him because he was a very like complex character. Like
Yeah,
they made him a complex character as a shown on. Whereas like Angel, like you start with him being like the ultimate hero. So like, what are you gonna do
yeah, it
from
just
there?
wasn't the
Whereas
vibe.
Spike,
I
it's
don't know.
like
Angel just wasn't the vibe. It's like
Angel's
wasn't
like
the
every
vibe.
12-year-old girl's dream, and then like Spike
If
is
you're
every
a
teenage
child, I
girl's
guess
dream.
you. The
Like, you
one
know
thing
what
I
I
like,
mean? Like,
yeah,
you go through your phase, you like move on, and then hopefully as an adult, you don't want to date either of them.
I think as well. What I really liked about Spike's arc in his relationship, so I just think I like that the writers never really sacrifice, which I find they do with like I think Damon in the Vampire Diaries a little bit is in in Buffy they never really sacrifice Spike's personality for his arc. Like he's always kind of
Mm-hmm.
acting like cocky little like evil like I don't know like he's
And he's
always
always
just
gonna have
playing the
sort of
bad
those like,
boy.
and he's always got like those quips, the Joss
Yeah,
Whedon quip. Like he's got it
yeah.
in a way where it's like you can tell. I think that it's very much like a defense mechanism. Like he doesn't want to give people an opportunity to like hurt him, so he's just gonna like keep sort of playing this like role that's a bit
It
more.
just keeps him sexy too. I don't know.
Yeah,
He doesn't become
yeah,
boring. Like he just, and I think it's really hard too when it's like he's going through the redemption arc, but like still will reference like the heinous shit he did, and it's like
he can.
you know because you saw the other scenes that like he feels really like bad about that kind of shit, and like he's like trying to get over it, but
Yeah.
he's not like necessarily
Well, I
forgetting about
think
it or like in denial. He's like, no, I did do this shit. Remember, like I'm a bad guy. You should
yeah.
just like be
You
pull
know
the
what
wool
I
over
always
your
think is
eyes.
funny in like when in like bad guy, like I don't know, like when they've been like redeemed and they're like good guys now, it's when they like try to like scare someone, like reference that they've done all this terrible shit and the person is just like not intimidated at
Oh,
all
I
because
love
they've
that
come
trope.
so far. I always think it's so
Yeah.
funny. They're like, I have murdered villages, and the person's like, okay, sure you have. Like they just don't believe them because they've become
Yeah.
such like a good boy. Like that's always hilarious to watch.
I love the trope as like of like the bad guy that joins like the good guy team.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, that's always
Zuko and
really
like the Avatar. Yeah, like it's I love that. It's so good. I love when they spend time with it, which I think they did here with like Spike
yeah.
and
I do
Buffy.
think Spike had a storyline that was done shockingly well.
Yeah,
Like
I didn't
didn't
expect that.
expect that to happen, but
They
it
just
was
went
done really
so
well.
hard on that character. It's like it felt like they had it planned out from the start, but like obviously.
Yeah, but I did love that enemies to lovers, but still enemies vibe they had going on for a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. It was really
Um,
good. Okay, I'm
do
glad I agree with you on this couple on like everything that happened.
yeah. Do you want to hear my only other couple I wrote down?
Yeah, who's your other couple? Is it Giles and you?
That would be good. I wrote down Xander and Cordelia.
Ah, you bitch.
I okay.
Okay,
To
I
be
know you
fair,
love them.
I stopped watching not long after they broke up and then like skipped ahead a bunch when like you didn't have a good love interest for a while of like what I was watching.
Okay.
Like eventually I like his last girlfriend too. I thought she was funny, but I only saw a little bit of her. I didn't see a lot of her. Because I'm
Um,
pretty sure when I stopped watching Xander had some other weird shit going on. But anyways, I liked I just loved their I thought it was fun. Like fun little
no,
comedic
I
relief
did too.
behind the drama. I thought
It was
they were
really
kind
good,
of
yeah.
perfect for each. I liked how like Xander is like the nerdy boy, like who is just like he's such a coward a lot of the time, and like but he's always got like a sassy remark. Yeah, he's such a loser, and then and he's like embarrassed to date Cordelia, who is like
Yeah.
the epitome of like popular cool girl. Like he's like fuck, like this is so embarrassing that I'm dating her, and like you get why she's embarrassed to date him, but then you find out he's like, no, I don't want people to know about this. Like no one can know about this. So I think it's a fun way that they start their relationship.
Yeah.
And then they have the very similar like sassy remark, cowardly response to danger, um, sort of
I
like
thought they
things.
were a
And then
really fun couple. Yeah. Okay, I
it was just
also
so
like
fun
them
to watch.
together. I don't think they're like I think
I
I
didn't.
like them together. I'm fine that they broke up. I think that that's fine. They can be like, they were good for that
I
bit of the show.
I think my problem with the fact that they broke up wasn't that they broke up. It was that they broke up because Xander
Oh
and Willow hooked
yeah,
up. Like, if you wanted Cordelia and Xander to break up, fine. I totally would have been okay with that if you had like
yeah.
written something that like made it
That was
relevant,
so
or even just like
stupid.
I think it would have been fun if Cordelia just said, "I'm going," because Cordelia leaves for like L.A.
Yeah,
for
it would
like
have been fair as
Angel.
well, being like, I'm moving for college or whatever. Like, I
If
don't
she just
know.
said like at the end of like
Awesome.
whatever season they go to college, she just said, um, I'm going to start my life in LA and I can do better than you, so bye. And then just like leaves and like that's like
Yeah,
her
that would
ending
have
to
been perfect. That would have been so
it.
perfect. Because it's kind of
It would
on
have
brand.
like
Because,
worked
like,
for
you
their
knew they weren't, like,
relationship.
I don't know, to me at least, I was like, they're never, like, end game. Like, I'm not, like, wanting to end up
Um,
together.
I would have been fine if they ended up together. Like I don't think I would have had a problem with
Mm.
it because I enjoyed watching their. I think their dynamic was really important to the show. Like, because it was like this like funny little like
Yeah,
again like
the
and
comic
it's like I hate you I love you kind of dynamic but in a sweeter way where like you kind of get to like see more of the characters being vulnerable with each other, like not to the way that like Buffy and Spike were like
No.
bad for each other, but like Cordelia and Xander were like I hate you I love you but in like a they were almost good for each other kind of way, like
They were very cute.
um
They were a good mirror
they
as
were
well to, like, Angel
cutesy
and
and
Buffy, who were very much the
yeah
same person and very boring.
yeah, so I liked their relationship. I would have been fine if they stayed together. I'm fine that they broke up because Cordelia in the show Angel was, I mean, God's gift to that show. But at least the first season, I didn't want. I like she got kind of bad, but like her being like that sassy little Cordelia girl for the first bit.
Okay.
My,
No,
but
I really like both their characters, and I thought they had good chemistry, and I agree. But
I think
I
I'm
was
just
okay with it. Yeah.
I'm so pissed off by the way they did that relationship so dirty by being
Bro,
like,
like, what? Also, like, Xander and Willow grosses me out. Like, they would never.
did they ever like date? No, they didn't.
I think they tried to after that, because also Willow had a boyfriend,
Yeah, she had Oz.
Ozzy, and that was so random and so stupid. And,
It
like,
was just like, well, because
I'm sorry, they're both gonna cheat on their SOs. Like,
I remember that Willow had a crush on Xander at the start, and then he hooked up with
right.
Cordelia. But I kind of liked that because I thought Willow and Xander would never work. Like, I just
Yeah, it would
couldn't.
have been way
I
better
would
if she
never
had
see
just
them
gone over it. I don't know.
working as a couple. And then yeah, she ends up being gay, so all for naught, all for naught.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. I was kind of like, oh, well, is she like, like you cheat on your boyfriend? I
I just
understand,
think
like, you're confused, but like,
I also just
it
think
kind of felt like, oh, but
I
like,
don't know.
so you're not even really interested in him. Like, it really was just
Willow and Xander also didn't have chemistry.
no.
Like the actors didn't have.
They were
They were
friends
a
in like a
beautiful
brother
friendship.
sister kind of way, maybe.
Yeah, like it
They
almost felt
felt
like
like, yeah.
she was like they were both like losers in the show,
Yeah, that's
but
what I was
like
gonna say.
she was like the more like shy, like nice one, and he was kind of like it felt like he was always like trying to stand up for her and stand up for them and be like, don't just sit back and take it kind of vibe, and like it was kind of like it was a sweet, very platonic relationship that I didn't want to see be more, and then like to like ruin a relationship which was like the only relationship that at the time of the show I was really rooting for with those two hooking up.
Yeah.
It just like pissed me off.
See,
Like
I liked Cordelia and Xander, and I also liked Willow and Ozzy together. Like, I loved Ozzy. I thought he was so fun.
oh, I didn't have like a strong feeling about it. Like I thought they were
Okay.
cute, yeah, but I didn't have like
I think I just like
super
the
strong feelings
character.
with them.
Yeah.
I think I was just more focused on like I like the Cordelia type of characters a lot. So like
Yeah, that's fair.
when I watch shows,
Yeah,
it's
the
like
Sharpay character.
that's the character I'm drawn. Yeah. So like at the end of the day, like say what you want about her, she's not that bad. So then like you kind of I don't know can root for her. I like I don't know if this happened in Buffy, but remember in Angel, Cordelia's friend became a vampire and like lost her soul, but the joke was that her friend was so soulless to begin with that she was just the same
that's kind of
person.
funny. That's really funny.
And I think that's really funny.
I
Like,
love when they did stuff
like
that because it's like campy stuff like that too.
So Xander and Cordelia were a big couple for me. That
okay.
Like yes, I'm okay.
No, that's
with
fair.
that
I
they
also
didn't
was
end up
excited when they
together.
got together. I thought it was fun. That was interesting. That was fresh. That was new. I think that like okay, I like them together, But one of my favorite couples on the show is Anya and Xander.
Okay.
I
She's his
think they're
last
really
girlfriend,
cute.
right? She
I
dies at
think
the
they
end.
break up. She maybe dies.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I feel like I asked this later, and maybe this is a take, but did Xander and Dawn have a weird flirty vibe for the fact that she was, a child, or was that just me reading into things?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Dawn had like a crush on him.
Okay.
And he
Because
was
I
like
feel
kind of
like
awkward about it. But I don't
there were,
like I think he was with Anya the whole time.
yeah, no, I don't. He doesn't ever like hook up with her or anything.
No,
I
they
just was curious because I felt like there were moments where I was like, are you guys like kind of like maybe he didn't
they kind of did
reciprocate?
have chemistry to be. Maybe the actors
They
were
had chemistry. Well, I think in the comics, there's like an alternative universe or whatever where Xander and Dawn hook up.
Oh, okay. That's so weird.
But I was just wondering, yeah, if that was like a thing in the show that like they had some weird flirty thing going on. But she was also a kid.
I think she had a crush on him, but I think he maybe did kind of that. I don't really remember, but I think he might have done kind of that thing, like that early 2000s thing of like he like would sometimes maybe like go into like as like a way to make her kind of like feel better type thing. Like he would kind of like play along with it a little bit, like I think if she like had a bad day or something, he'd be like he kind of like, oh, do you want to like take my sweater home? And she was like that kind of vibe where it was like he would play into it just to like.
Okay. I mean, Xander's also like generally nice. Like, I think probably the actors just had chemistry, and then like whenever Xander was trying to be like nice to him, it was like, or nice to Dawn, it was like, oh, you guys have chemistry, so this seems like
Dawn's also like not that much younger than them. I don't think. I think she's only like 3 years younger than them. So it's not like weird.
Sorry,
yeah.
I say child sister.
No, but like I mean, like, she's a kid, but like they're also kind of kids. Yeah, she's also I think like an ethereal god or something.
You want to? Sorry, I cut you off about Anya and Xander. Do you want to talk about them?
I don't really have much more to say about them. I thought they had like that cute gimmicky, like that cute little like they would bicker with each other a lot, and she would like yell at him a lot. Sometimes I think it crossed the line where it could be like, oh, this is a bit toxic, but overall, I liked it. I thought like he bickering. Really like kind of did like made Xander kind of man up a little bit. Like that's where he kind of became less of like the like nerdy scaredy cat, and then more of like he became more like a dad of the group, and like, a little bit more responsible. He reminds me a lot of like if there's like the Scooby Gang, he was kind of like the Fred character. Like he was like
just like I felt like Cordelia did that for Xander as well, so I totally could root for this.
They are kind of similar.
I do
Vanya's
think Xander,
a lot crazier, I think. Like, she's more like...
Yeah. I do think Xander, to be fair, just, like, needs, like, that type of girl who's very bossy, an alpha. Very demanding.
Yeah.
And, like, she's gonna yell at him a lot, and, like, he's gonna give it back. It's like arguing is, like, their love language a little bit. Like, they're like...
exactly.
We need to do this. So, like, I think... he just, like, he does definitely, like, you can tell it in the relationships. He needs a girl who's gonna be willing to fight with him too, because I think Xander does have a very naturally combative sort of.
Yeah, like Xander is kind of like a dick. Like he's kind of a douche. Well, not like he's kind of
he's not a douche, but
he's not a douche,
I think he's very
not
much
like his personality, but he has definitely like a smart mouth, and like definitely
he's
not someone that I would be surprised if he punched in the face a couple times. Like he needs that little bit of.
He couldn't be with a quiet girl like Willow, because Willow's not gonna like stand up to him in the same way that like these other girls are gonna like put him in his place.
He needs a little bit of pushback.
Put in his place a little bit. I feel like every time I say like he needs to like they need to fight back or put in their place, I feel like I'm talking about like they need to be like they're like I'm talking about like abuse or something. And
no,
like, I don't mean it like that.
The other couples I wrote down. What else wrote down? Yeah, I liked Willow and Ozzy a lot. I thought they were like really cute and really short-lived. I wish they'd gone on longer.
Yeah, I was disappointed they broke up so soon because I thought Oz was like a fun character.
Yeah, I wish he'd hung around more, which I think was why I was sad they broke up, because he didn't hang around more. And then I liked, obviously like Tara and Willow. I think were like a pretty big relationship in it, and
I only saw the end of their relationship. Because I saw the parts where Willow was
goes like crazy, right? She's like addicted,
like manipulating Tara into like staying with her. with her
Yeah,
witchy
it gets
powers.
really dark. It gets, yeah. But at first,
But
I really like Tara. I think she's a really good character, I guess. Same with
yeah,
Ozzy. Like, I just like Willow, I think, can be a bad person and needs to do
yeah.
a couple more character arcs before I'll think she's ready to date anyone.
I liked Buffy's little thing about how, like in the finale, how she talks about how like she doesn't think she's ready to like she like the reason she thinks her relationships have failed is because she's not ready as a person to be with like that long
Willow
term.
does or Buffy does?
Buffy does, and I
Okay,
thought that
yeah.
was a really good
That's
like she does a
nice.
cookie analogy, which I don't really like, but she's like I'm not fully baked, like I'm not ready to like come out of the oven and like
Yeah.
be with the person, and
Oh,
she's like I'm not saying that like she's talking to Angel or whatever. She's like I'm not saying you're not the person for me, but I'm not ready to be with
I'm just saying you're 400 years
this.
old and I'm a child, so I might need a little bit more experience. But yeah.
You want to put it like that? Yeah.
No, that's really
But
nice
yeah, so like
too.
I definitely think
It was such a good
her.
like. It was even like I feel like there's teen dramas and then there's like this sort of teen drama where it's like it's a very like well but like it's a coming of age story
Mhm.
where it doesn't have to end with happily ever after. It's like they've come of age now and they know kind of who they are and they know what they want.
Yeah, and I
That's
will
I
say
think a nicer.
I think with Buffy especially, she's a character who, to be quite honest, annoyed me a lot and for a lot of the series.
Yeah.
But I really respected the way it ended with her being like, I'm still growing up. Because I think that's just a really
Yeah.
honest and well thought out way to end the show of like her being
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'm still figuring it out. Like, because she is a kid. Like, I think
Yeah.
she's what, my age by the time the show ends? Like, in her
There
20s?
was such good character writing for like they do a good job of reminding you that these people are like children. Like she is about to go like Giles is like there's a curse and you're like the sacrifice and they're gonna sacrifice you and she's about to go like into the climax of the third act and she's like Giles like I'm only 16 I don't want to die. I was like crying. So
Yeah. I
sad.
think, yeah. The more I think about it, the more I think it's weird how close Giles is to these teenage kids.
Yeah, no. I think to like at least to Buffy, he's like very much a father figure.
Yeah,
Like
I
he
know
didn't
he's
turn
like
him
he's not
off.
like their friend,
Yeah,
but then I also think it's weird that you don't have any friends,
yeah.
Giles. Maybe I'm not in love with him anymore.
No, I think you're right. I think that's why I kind of shipped him and Buffy's mom because I think that would have maybe given him more of a reason to step into that role.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
yeah,
it
it
is
just
weird
would
that
have
he
been
doesn't
like
really have any friends. He's kind of just like old
anyways.
Gandalf. He's kind of weird. He's socially awkward, I guess. I don't know.
Buffy reboot, Giles and Buffy's mom
But
are dating.
yeah, but I also feel like, especially for yeah, I feel like for Giles, like not like how many adult like for those characters, I'm willing to suspend my disbelief and accept that like they would become pretty close because they're all kind of on the ends of this like world that like you're
Mhm.
like that's gonna be hard to find. You probably don't want that. Like it'd be so weird to form a
And
close relationship with someone who doesn't know that your entire life is based on like vampires and shit.
and to be fair, I do think that Giles does play more of like a parent figure in the group. Like he's not like
Yeah.
he's not a friend. He's like I'm sort of like a dad or like an
Or like
uncle
a
or
boss,
something.
kind of maybe
Yeah, like they
like a
sort of treat him.
mentor.
I mean, they walk over all over him a little bit too much for him to be a boss, but I believe
Yeah, but
he's
like
like that like relative who's like been it put. He's like that like relative who's like a few years older who's in charge of babysitting,
yeah,
but like all the kids gang up on him.
yeah, it is kind of weird at times.
But
I feel
yeah,
like
I
they
still
just
love it.
needed maybe like a second adult there sometimes for it to seem a
Yeah,
bit less
I think
weird.
sometimes they introduced other like adult type characters. They
Yeah.
just didn't have whatever. Anyways, do you have any other couples you want to talk about?
I don't think so. I would talk about Buffy and I guess seems Riley, even though I wrote down Wesley. But I think that they were fine together. I think it was pretty clear that Buffy was going to get bored of him. But I think
Yeah.
like he's definitely probably the healthiest of her love interests, so I'll let that slide.
Mhm.
I don't really remember much about them, so I guess that's all I have to say is uninteresting, irrelevant. Move on to Spike.
Interesting but irrelevant boyfriend.
Like,
Honestly, I feel like
ugh.
if I was someone's ex, I'd probably want to be. I feel like that's the nicest way you could be described. The interesting but
Yeah, I
irrelevant
definitely
one.
wouldn't want to be like Angel. Like I don't want to be
Yeah.
Wesley.
I'd
I want
probably
to be
like
Wesley actually.
not Buffy
Super
next.
unmemorable. Yeah.
We didn't fully get into Buffy and Angel, but to be honest, I don't really want to get into them that
There's
much.
something there. I think the one interesting thing to say about it is I think that was like initially the main hook of the show was that this girl was gonna date the vampire. Like I think that
Yeah.
I don't know if it was maybe in the pilot that we even brought it up, but like I think that
Well,
was like
no.
big news at the time. That was like
Do you want to talk about the finale? Series finale?
yeah,
The end of an era? That era is
that's what a little
the
bit.
Vampire
It's
Slayer
a
Buffy.
Spike sacrifice. Yeah,
Um,
I really liked the ending. I thought it did a pretty good job of raising the stakes enough. I think it got a little bit like Marvel-y at the end. I think there was a little bit of like, oh, is this the big fight? I don't think they needed that. I think it could have all mostly been character moments, but that's
yeah.
okay.
I don't know. I thought they did. Um, I thought they did a good job. So like, I came into it. I haven't seen most of the last season, and I
Mm-hmm.
felt like I understood what was happening, and they explained like what's going on, and they did a good job at like making me laugh while also dealing with
Yeah.
this thing. Um, I had a few issues with it. Like, I think it was weird that there was a scene where Giles is playing Dungeons and Dragons with Xander and two other random people, and that's
Oh, I
just a
don't remember
scene and
that.
it's not explained. Like,
Okay.
they're just like, how could you sleep on a night like this? And then cut to Buffy and Spike. And I'm like, okay, what was the point of this scene? Of like, there were just some random scenes like that.
Okay.
It made me realize that I think Dawn is really badass and Fly, though. I thought she was really
I
cool.
loved on. Oh my god.
I wish I kind of want to like finish watching the show almost so I could see more Dawn because I didn't
No,
see that
you
much of
should
her.
watch it. Not the last season. There's a season finale. The season finale before Buffy comes back to life is like one of my favorite season finales of all
Okay,
time. It's so amazing. The writing's like so good. Everything that leads up to
yeah,
it. Oh, I have chills. The
well,
writing's
cause
so good on that show sometimes.
yeah, well, cause I liked Dawn. I liked her in the musical episode when she said, "Oopsie, I accidentally brought a monster," because I just wanted everyone to have a little bit of fun. And I
Oh
thought that
yeah,
was
I
really
totally remember
funny.
that. Yeah.
But like, I didn't know like that much about her, and then I watched the last episode, and she was so badass and cool, and she
She
just
is really badass.
like
She
Xander's
has
trying
like
to
some
take her to
really
town,
good
and she just
character arcs.
I like it. Xander's trying to take her to town because Buffy said this isn't the place for you, and she just tases him and like makes him bring
Yeah.
her back.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Yeah.
And I was like, what a like badass move. So I loved her. I
Which I
had
think is fun.
another question, which is Faith talks like a '90s hip hop artist. Some of her lines
Ah,
were,
yeah.
"I was rock'em sock'em," and "I got skills, yo."
She's a weird character.
And
She was
I just
iconic
needed
but
that to
weird.
be said out loud. Like I needed someone else to hear what that was.
I think she's like a bit crazy and like kind of a bit like unhit. Like I think I could see it being like the character would either say that I kind of ironically like the way we would be like oh like so light, but like not like me.
She was not being ironic.
She's like it might have also been because I think that sounds to me like a writer's room of older people trying to sound hip with the kids and
It
trying
was
to write for like a 16
it was hilarious.
year old. She was
I
a
had
fun
never laughed.
character. I think she's a bit overhyped. I think like the idea of Faith is like really iconic and like you want to feed into it. I think that's like similar to like Victorious is like the idea of a lot of the characters in this world is what's
Yeah.
appealing. But I think the
I
idea
think
of Faith is what's appealing. But I think the execution is very meh.
Faith was definitely a character that like I thought she was cool initially, and then like I kind of didn't love her after that. Like she was
Yeah.
one of those characters where I felt like they didn't really know what to do with her anymore, so like they just did a bunch of messed up shit.
She could never have become like a main part of the cast, I don't think.
Yeah.
She didn't really mesh well. She didn't really have a place with them. I think she was fun as like a showing up sometimes just to fuck things up. Kind of like in Gossip Girl, like Georgina. She would just kind of show up and like
Yeah.
fuck shit up for everyone and force them to kind of gang up. I like that. I
But
think she was fun as like a, I think it was cool that she was like a consequence of Buffy coming back to life. Um,
yeah. I liked Faith as a character though. Like, I thought she was fun. I like having her in the big battle scenes, and then I think I'm done with her after that.
Yeah, I like when TV shows do that though. It's like a fun trope as well when they introduce like a
Yeah.
cool character, but then they disappear for a little bit and then they come back a little bit. Like they could do like different cameos, and you can kind of like run into them like they're still a part of this world, but they're not like a main character in every episode.
Yeah, and that's mainly what I want from Faith. Is like she comes when
Yeah.
they like need help with something really big, but otherwise she's kind of doing her own thing.
Exactly. So I like that they did that with her, which is like I
I,
think we talked about that in Stranger Things too. Like I like more characters disappearing and coming back when they're needed.
yeah. I also I don't know what Willow's girlfriend's name is in the finale, but I think she's hotter than Willow's other girlfriend. She has a new girlfriend in the finale.
Oh, I forgot about
and she's so hot.
Tara, I think, is like sexy.
Okay, you
but
have your
like,
opinion.
She's not like conventionally attractive, I would say, but her vibe is just really sexy, I think.
Yeah, I also thought it was funny that when Willow gave all the like powers or whatever to everyone, like all the Slayer powers, she just kind of looked like she was super high as she fell to the ground, and I was like, she's like, Jinkies, that was something, and I'm like, what? But yeah, her girlfriend's really hot, and I just kind of wanted to say that.
I forgot she had a new girlfriend.
I don't know what her name was.
Oh, wait. Oh, Kennedy.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that.
I liked the conclusion. I thought it was fun, but a little messed up.
I thought
like destroying a whole town.
Everything that was like wrapping up all the themes and the character arcs they had set up, I think that was all immaculate. I think like the plot itself, like this, like that was kind of really campy and a little bit weird, and they could have toned it down a bit. I don't think they needed.
I also like
put so much effort into that. Like I didn't need to see the training camp for like new Slayers. Like I thought that was getting a bit out of the world of the show. It's like, it's not really the vibe.
Okay, but I would say I liked all the Slayers in the like finale. Like I liked that there were a bunch of Slayers there, like helping to fight.
I feel like they also do like they kind of suffer from like the Vampire Diaries thing of like they introduce magic or like magic objects that they just kind of have to forget about because otherwise they would solve so many problems.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, like why don't you bring back like the musical guy? Like I don't know, like.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which also could have been fun for the finale is like a little revisit down. Really...
Yeah, I like the finale or like sort of like. Yeah, I like when a finale, and a lot of people don't like this, but I like when a finale does a lot of callbacks.
Me too. It depends on the type of show, but like I really when it's like a campy show like Buffy, or like I like an Endgame when they did it too, in like Marvel when they did like the time travel thing. Even though I don't like the time travel thing, I'm like, time travel is stupid. I was like, oh no, what? This is a nice excuse to go revisit shit. Yeah, I like when they use that. I'll suspend my disbelief for that.
Yeah, I don't know. Even like when I don't like love it, I still like when they do callbacks. Like I like that the New Girl finale was just randomly a game of True American.
Yeah. It's
like
nice
it was dumb, but it was like cute, you know.
And it's
like I like kind of shows like that.
That's like kind of what you're watching the finale for at that point, especially something so.
Yeah, you want to just like watch them like finish up, but you want to watch them like call back to all the things and like you want to be like reminded that you've gone on this journey with them.
Yeah, I also really like that. I like when it's like it has to be like classy, of course, but
yeah. I thought in this finale though. Oh, sorry.
No.
Did I cut you off? Oh, I thought in this finale though, all the deaths were like really rad. Like every time someone died, I was like, that's a pretty cool way to go, man.
So did Anya die in the finale? I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I know
she does.
Something happened.
She gets sliced.
Joss Whedon does that sometimes, and I don't like it.
I thought it was fun. I wasn't invested in her though. Like I haven't seen that much of her. So I just thought it was funny. I was like, whoa, she just got sliced. And like
it's a good like no one's safe. This is collateral.
Yeah. And then like Spike dies saving them all, and then like at the beginning Buffy chops the guy in half.
I think what I don't like about Anya dying is that it kind of takes away from the Spike sacrifice. I think I would have been okay if Spike was the only main player that died, and I don't think I like that there was two main players that died.
I like doing it away from the Spike sacrifice. I feel
it's
like
still amazing, but I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know. I get what you mean.
You expecting to be sad about both these people? All my emotions is going towards being sad about Spike. I don't know if I have much else to add. Like, Oh, I had like a discussion question. Do you have like a favorite character?
Yes, this is
Is it
maybe a
Buffy?
hot take. Probably not surprising because if we're on to hot takes,
Oh yeah,
it's
sorry. Let's go into hot takes. That's a discussion question.
uh, Cordelia is my favorite character, and everyone else is annoying. At the end
That's
of the
fair.
day, those are my feelings. Did everyone else have good moments? Sure, but even Giles falls into that everyone else is annoying because Cordelia for life.
No one can compare
I'm
to
getting
Cordelia.
there. I love her. I love her so much.
No, I think she's great. I think she's fine. I think
Do
she's
you have a
fun.
favorite character? The
Um,
passion in which I feel for her will burn too bright, so you need to say
like
something.
objectively, I think I have to say Spike because of the whole character
Yeah,
redemption
yeah, yeah.
thing. If I was gonna say anybody other than that, like I think if I'm not gonna say like a main character, I think I would say maybe no, it's Spike. It's Spike. It's Spike. He was like
I
not
would
even
have.
like okay, like here's the thing. Redemption arc aside, he was so funny. He was just a fresh character. I loved that he started off like ugly as fuck, and then they just somehow didn't change his appearance at all, but made him super hot.
Um,
Like he's not an attractive man, but he is.
I think that I can agree that objectively Spike was probably the most well done character.
Yeah,
Cordelia is still my favorite.
it's okay. You're allowed to say that. Okay, no, what? Maybe Dawn. I like Dawn. I
I
loved
do like that.
her. Like that's that like episode where she's introduced. I don't know if you watched that, but like
No, I
I
haven't
feel
seen the
like
episode.
everyone must have done this. Is like I was going back and like, what did I miss? Like this is just so out of nowhere. Like she
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
exist. She's not a person. And
I
like then I just like okay, I guess I keep watching. And then it's explain like that was so good. That was so.
I also
Imagine
felt
watching
that
that as it
way.
aired. You're like, oh,
I watched.
season like whatever premiere of
Yeah,
Buffy. Here we go.
it
And then
was
you're
like
like, what
season
the
4.
fuck did I miss?
I am. Yeah, I definitely when I saw Dawn in the show, I was like, did Buffy have a sister? What?
Right? I was like, what the fuck? She never
And
had
then
a
like it was
sister.
explained, but yeah.
I had to
Um,
like Google it. Yeah, it was really good. And
this
like the
is
whole like sister arc as well, like her and Buffy's relationship, I really really liked.
those Summers gals. They're crazy.
They're so cute. Okay, maybe Dawn's my favorite character, but
Yeah,
like
I mean, look,
Spike's pretty fucking
Spike's
great.
not a bad
I'm gonna
choice, and
rewatch this
Spike
show
is
now.
really in your wheelhouse in terms of picking a favorite character. Like
I love that kind of character.
when you said Spike, no part of me was surprised.
I love him so.
There
Or
could
the
not be
platinum
a
hair.
less surprising choice for you. You
Yeah,
love Spike type
I love
characters.
the crackhead energy.
I
Skater
I feel like I've heard
boys.
you just like casually be like, "Oh, we're at Spike and Buffy were the best day." Like you just loved him.
I did.
Um, okay, this is not a hot take. I'm realizing, but I'll say it
Go for
anyways.
it.
Angel and Buffy were like a really annoying couple, and I mostly wanted them not to be together.
Yeah, me too. They're so boring. I feel like it's so much people are like, oh, Jim and Stefan. And it's like, but why the fuck? Like, I understand they're probably a little bit healthier for each other than a lot of the other options. But, like, they're so boring. Like,
I just
I'm
I
sorry,
don't
you want a
even know if they were
producer to read
healthy.
this? You want a producer to read this and continue them together? No, 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 no. You want them to break up so the
I
other shit
think
can happen.
yeah, I just think unless like the couple that you're introducing to me in the first season is like out of this world amazing, I don't want them to stay together throughout the show.
Yeah,
Like I
exactly.
just absolutely do not want that to happen.
The
And I don't want them
first,
to like
yeah, the
break up and
first
have it be like
season.
they're still in love with each other. I want them to break up and I want to believe that they're not going to get back together. Even if they do.
Yes, yes.
And I never felt that way with it was always
Yeah.
Angel and Buffy will get back together eventually and I'm like, I don't want to feel that way.
When they finally broke up for good and he left, I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
Half of the reason I was excited they gave him a spin-off, so I was like, oh, thank God, he's like actually coming back.
Jumping off of Angel and Buffy.
Mm-hmm.
How come they never solved the Angel can't fuck problem?
Did he not fuck?
Well, because he can't experience a moment of true happiness, or else he
Oh,
loses
so he
his
can't
soul.
come.
Okay, yeah, I guess he can't come.
That's so weird. That's so weird.
Why don't they ever fix that?
Why did they say that? That's so weird.
It
That's very
it makes him boring.
Like Mormon-y
I
Twilight
thought
of them.
I thought it was solved like loses his soul and then Buffy gets it back for him or something. But then when I was watching the Angel show, it seemed like he still couldn't experience pure happiness. But he can have sex, I found out, because he did bang.
I can have really shitty sex. I just can't have really good sex.
Because he did bang, like, his, like, nemesis.
Oh.
Yeah, because he banged his, like, nemesis, and it was
good
fine.
for him.
It was, like, good sex, but he wasn't truly happy because he didn't love her. Anyways, I think they should have solved that problem because that was dumb. Okay, my next sizzling takes hot.
Ooh, spicy.
Let's see what it was. Xander was hot, and more girls should have been into him.
Yeah, Xander was
I followed that up
hot.
by asking about his flirtationship with Dawn.
Oh yeah, you asked for that. Yeah, I don't know that. But
follow up. Am I not mad about that?
Xander is definitely one of those characters that's cast as like the nerd loser, but it's like in no way would this kid be like the nerd loser at the high school. He's also like he's not like he's attractive, he's funny, he's like pretty outspoken and like confident. Like he could play that off, and he's like 6 feet tall and like big. Like he's fit. Like I don't understand why would he not be on the football team. He could easily be on the football team.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't need him to be on the football team, but he was a hot guy who girls.
But yeah, that's one of the problems.
He would have been like
he worked out.
Yeah, but like he would have been like I feel like one of those guys where like girls would have just been into him because his personality is fun and cool.
I think he could have. Yeah, I think his character would have made a little bit more sense because I feel like a lot of the times it was that vibe like, oh, I'm not popular, so I'm not like a nerd and loser and girls don't like me. But I think he could have had that vibe of like it's like you're like the quote unquote loser, but it's more just like he's a little bit above it all. He's like, yeah, I just like don't like this jockhead, so I don't hang out with him. And like you're cool, so I hang out with you because it's my choice. And
sometimes I like those characters where like they think that they're a loser because like people don't like they think they're a loser for one reason, and then it's just like no, it's not that like people think you're a loser. It's that you constantly act like you're better than all of us, so we don't want to hang out with you. And it's like I kind of like when that happens. Sometimes I could see that being Xander's problem. It's like we don't think you're a loser. It's that you're acting like you're better than us. And like I think I could see that as like an issue. But anyways,
I'm sure there's an episode in like season 1 where like that's the arc, and he like is like I'm gonna join the football team, and he does, and then he realizes he doesn't like it or something. So I feel like that's more his vibe than just being like outcast. I feel like if he was an outcast, he would have to be like, which I also would have been totally fine with, is him being like a little bit more 90s stereotype, very like really scrawny, really big glasses, like something like that.
I love a scrawny boy.
Can't talk to girls at all. I don't know, but it seems like I just don't know how he got to this point. Or like if they even said like, oh, there was an incident that was really embarrassing, and now he can never be a cool kid.
I don't know. Maybe they did explain it, but they didn't. Yeah, another hot take. Willow was annoying, and I don't really care that much about her. But I don't know if that's hot.
Willow was annoying. I think she was a good like plot character. I think she was good to have for like plot development. She got definitely way better as she aged. Like I think she wasn't a better person, but I think she was a much more interesting character when they added like the witch thing. And
do you think they just made her a witch so that they like
she could have
had to want her in the show still?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think they definitely had to make choices to like improve the character because she was not good.
Because Xander could stay in the show normal forever, and everyone was fine with it. But Willow,
Willow. Okay. Well, I think because she's like so shy and like very naive, and she comes across as very young in season 1 that like they really needed to do stuff to force her to grow up.
Yeah, I'll say this, and I know this will be controversial. And
what is it?
Agree with me. And it's not necessarily specifically Buffy related, but I liked the show Angel more than I liked the show Buffy, and almost 100%.
That is very controversial.
Almost 100%. That is because Angel plays more of the like self-absorbed, funny, moody Angel character, and I just thought it was really funny. And like him and Cordelia have to like form a friendship / more on the show that's like just so ridiculous that it's like really fun to watch.
Okay. No, I could see that being like really right up your alley. I think
so. The first season and the last season of it
don't agree, but I accept that you think that because I think that's very
Yeah. I don't think anyone would agree, but I like the spinoff. I like season 1, 2, and 4, but not season 3, I think. Oh, but I was gonna say, so the only season of Angel that's like past when Spike dies is season 4, so then you'd have to just watch season 4 if you want.
I think I literally Googled the episode he showed up and watched it.
Oh.
And then I was
funny.
like, oh, this
He's
really
just
takes
a
away
ghost.
from his death. I was like, stop.
Yeah,
Ignore.
I didn't love that. I had to like sort of pretend like what happened with Spike in the Buffy finale didn't.
Like this is just him from like before. Yeah, they could have just done it that way. Like this, I don't know. Yeah.
I also didn't like that. I heard a rumor that the reason Charisma Carpenter, who plays Cordelia, wasn't in the 4th season was because they chose to pay like the money to have Spike in it instead.
Oh, that's stupid. She was like a main character, wasn't she?
Yeah, like they wrote her off in a way that was fine, but it was kind of like because also the show, and like this isn't an Angel show podcast episode, but I guess I'll explain it. The show kind of built up this relationship between Angel and Cordelia that was like really unfinished.
Okay.
And so it was just interesting to kill her off.
Okay, fair.
To do that, but I heard that's just a rumor.
That's really weird.
That's true, but I was upset about that. Maybe she didn't want to do the show. But yeah, so my hot take is that season 1, 2, and 4 of Angel are better than Buffy. But I think most people would disagree with me. In fact, I'd be hard pressed to find one person who would agree with me on that.
The entire show of Angel is not better than the scene where Spike and Buffy fucking has at the end of the musical episode, mind you. That's better than all of like.
Okay, it's not fair when you play games like that.
Buffy is also very Scooby-Doo-esque, which I like.
Yeah. Oh,
that's what I wanted more.
Angel just like is a private detective in the show, and that's kind of fun. But he deals with like supernatural things, so, like it's once a week.
I miss the procedural like thing of the week show.
Yeah. I mean, I still watch a lot of procedural shows.
These old ones though.
I watch like so many procedural mysteries and stuff.
That's fair.
I love them. I absolutely adore them. I'm obsessed.
Yeah, they're way better. I miss them. I didn't like them as a kid. When I was a kid, I was like so excited for the Netflix shit where I was like, oh fuck, it's all overarching plot. It's all a plot. But now I'm like, no, this is too much. I love just having random episodes.
I like
there's no more thrill. There's no more anticipation. There's no
more
like
overarching. I like overarching like romance plots and friendship plots.
Yes.
And then I want like the plot of the show to be like cop show plot where it's like this is a mystery this week and next week there'll be a new one and then like there might be some like romance and friendship like problems going on, but like
and I like
that's the B plot to
and I'm okay. I like as well when like there's like a big bad at the end that it has been set up a little bit through. But I don't want
maybe there are like little
I don't want it to just be
that are like this is the I like maybe like I like when it's sort of like they kill a monster and the monster like says like something that might be leading to like the big bad and then you find out in the last 3 episodes what all of that meant.
Yeah, exactly.
But, like,
or like they solve mystery. Like they solve like loose threads kind of thing. Yeah, I love that. That's so good. I miss that.
That's all our sizzling hot takes, right?
Yeah. Well, it's a happy Halloween for everybody. Hope your hot takes didn't spook you. Hope you were treated to a nice walk down memory lane of awesome sex scenes between Buffy and Spike and etc. And Giles and Buffy's mom. Never forget.
Never forget. Never forget Giles.
And Mrs. Slayer. Yeah.
Spooktober, baby.
Yeah, have a spooky Halloween.
Yeah, enjoy this Halloween special. What?
Wear leather if you can, and drink some red wine or blood.
Yeah, or blood.
Actually,
but like,
not.
Don't kill anyone for the blood, okay?
Yeah, like drink maybe like if you want to get real weird, drink like a consenting adult's blood. But otherwise, preferably just like your own blood or red wine.
Yeah, drink like a thick glass of warm red wine. That'll do the trick.
Add some like cream to make it thick. Okay.
I feel like we're giving bad advice now. Thanks for listening.
Go watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel.
Yeah.
Apparently.
If you haven't seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel, I don't know why you listen.
Don't watch Vampire Diaries.
You should go watch them.
Watch them. Yeah, there's so much
Actually, yeah, never mind. Don't watch either of these shows. Watch Vampire Diaries.
No, stop it. Stop doing this.
All right,
Stop
stop
this.
the cameras quick.
Okay.
Okay. Happy Halloween.